All right, good morning, everyone. So it is 11 a.m. here in Vancouver, so we're going to get started now. So welcome, thank you for being here for this webinar. Today's topic is editing themes with the template editor. I hope that this is useful to you. I am Ruby Arnold. I'm a solution strategist here at Adacado. And I'm going to walk you through how you can do some customization to your themes in Adacado. This is one webinar session in a series, so check back. There's a couple other sessions that we're running, and we're doing them three times a week. Feel free to ask questions at any point in the chat dialogue, and at the end of the session, which will be in about half an hour, I will answer any questions that you've typed into the chat. So feel free to put them in there at any time. All right, let's get started. So today's schedule. I'm just going to give a little introduction, talk about why we would want to do this, and then I will show you how to, give you a couple notes and some resources, and then we will do questions and answers if there are questions. I do want to give a little bit of a heads up that that this webinar does cover some more advanced features in the Adacado platform. So it's probably going to be the most useful for people who have already played around in the system. And I am assuming that you've already created an advertiser and a campaign at this point. I'm not going to be going over those steps. If you haven't, though, that's okay. You can still get something out of this, but just to point out that it's not from start to finish. So before we jump right into it, I just want to talk about the structure of the ads in Adacado and what makes up a theme. So the base building block that we have for an Adacado theme are what we call templates. So the template defines what your ad looks like. So it has probably a logo, probably has a call to action button or a CTA, and it may have product data, or it could just have static text, and it's a certain size. So in this case, this is a very common size for display ads. It's a 300 by 250 pixel template. Next is storyboards. So this one is probably the most confusing. So a storyboard is essentially your ad at the end of the day, and it is a collection of one or more templates. So you might just have one, and that would be what we would call a one-frame ad, but it might be a couple. You see this especially with product ads. And so each of the templates in a storyboard would have a different product in it. And then if you put that all together, you have a theme. So when we're talking about a theme, we're talking about a collection of storyboards. And each of those storyboards is a collection of templates. And here's an illustration of those all together. So templates, storyboards, themes. Why would we want to edit a theme? What does that mean? We might just want to change something really simple like the button color, but you could also adjust the text. So what the text looks like, its position, its size, the actual font that's used, the color. You might want to have different data being shown, add a promo message, anything different, you want something different in it, a slight adjustment to what we offer as our preset themes. Editing a theme also would give you a good way to do A/B testing. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but just to note that this is something that can be used for testing. All right, and with that, let's get to the demo. Okay. So, here we are in the Adacado platform. So, like I said, at this point, I've gone ahead and created an advertiser and a campaign. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to be using a hypothetical advertiser, which I created called Marker, which is an e-commerce website for selling art supplies. And I'm doing a retargeting campaign for Marker. So I've already gone through the setup process, and I've already added products as well. I've created a simple feed, and I've got products in the system, and now it's time to choose my theme. So as you can see, there are many themes to choose from. I've set up a retail advertiser, so the themes that I'm seeing here by default are retail themes. So they're all about selling products for the most part. There's a lot to choose from. There's actually more if you use the theme filters here on the left-hand side. You switch off the vertical from retail to auto, you can see all of the auto themes. So you can actually use these themes between vertical, but it doesn't necessarily make sense to do so because the data fields that that different verticals use, not all of the data fields match up. So retail and auto both have prices, but auto campaigns have say like mileage, which is something that doesn't make any sense in the context of a retail campaign. But just so you see that they're all there. Let's go back to retail though. Okay, so when you are going to edit a theme, it's best to pick something that kind of has the general arrangement of what you want, but you just want something a little bit different. That's the easiest. So even if the colors are different, say, but the position of the different elements are kind of how you want them, that's going to be the easiest process for editing a theme. So in this case, I'm going to go with the Delford theme. So I can either select it by pressing the check mark here, or I can first look at more information by pressing the eye icon for information, and get this little pop-up, and it's going to give me a little preview of what the different ads would look like in this theme. So I can also just hit Save Theme right here, and it will apply it to my campaign. Apologies, my internet's going a little slow today. All right, here we are. Okay, so like I said, I have already added product data. So as soon as I apply this theme, I am seeing my products show up in these ads. So hopefully you've seen this view before. These are the ads here. They're the storyboards. And with this kind of navigation, you can see at a glance that these storyboards have 5 templates in them each, which is the general setup that we do when we're creating storyboards and themes. There's usually 5 templates per storyboard. Here on the left, these are the products that are being loaded in to preview here. So there's 5 of them. And then down here, we can make some adjustments. So if I click on image assets, I can choose a company logo. So click on that, and I'm just dragging from my desktop here. I can drag in my company logo. There we go. I can also change the CTA text here. I'm going to just make it say shop like that. All right, and let's save. You will notice that there are other text fields, and there's also the product image here. You won't be able to put anything in here because it's being replaced by the product data. So this is just for testing, but in this case it won't do anything because there's actual product data to be used. So that's going to take precedence. Okay, so just to note, this is done. We don't actually have to do anything else at this point, other than perhaps place a pixel, since this is a retargeting campaign. But in terms of the ads themselves, they're ready to go. So we could either be using Adacado's media buying options, which you can set up here, or the ad tags can be found on the publish page, and we can give them to our agency or the DSP that we're working with, and these ads are ready to be served. However, the topic today is editing a theme, so let's go ahead and do that. So at the top here, you will see all of these little icons with some numbers, and these are referencing the storyboards that we have here as part of our theme. So there's one for each. So this is the 300 by 600 here, 160 by 600, and so on. We could go ahead and add more. I'm not going to go into that though. What I am going to do is I'm actually going to remove two of these storyboards, the 320 by 50 and the 300 by 50. If you're not going to be using any of the sizes that come default with your theme, then you can go ahead and remove them here, just to reduce the clutter and, you know, see the ads that you're actually going to be running. Okay, that's better. So let's go ahead and click on the 300 by 600 icon here. And what this is going to do is it's going to take us into the storyboard view. So hopefully this is kind of coming together with what I was showing before. So this is the storyboard view, and you can see in here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 templates in the storyboard. So it's the identical template, but because we're using product data, each template is filling with its own product. Okay, so right down here, this is the button we're going to be pressing in just a moment. I do want to say that there are some templates in the system as part of themes that are not editable, and in that case, or in those cases, you won't see this button here. Most of them are editable, but there are some which are not. And the main thing to know is that any multi-view themes, so which are themes or templates that show multiple products on a single template. So if you had like the markers here and the thread here and the watercolors here all on one template, that kind of template and theme is not editable, so you won't see this option. But here we do, so let's go ahead and press it. Okay, so this is the template editor. So this is where we can make adjustments. Here in the center, this is our ad itself, our template. And everything that's sticking out is going to be cut off. So you can see this kind of subtle background image here. It's not actually going to show, it's just going to show the part in the border here. To make a change, you just want to select one of the call them widgets, one of the widgets that's on the template. So I'm going to go ahead and click here on the shop now, and that will bring up this options panel on the right hand side where I can make changes to whatever widget is selected. So in this case, it's the CTA button, and these are the options that I can change or set for CTA button. So for now, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and select the background color and change it to black and close this. And yeah, that's looking good. I'm gonna hit save up here. Would you like to return to the storyboard view? Yes, let's go back to the storyboard view. Okay, so here we are. And you can see that that change was applied to all of these templates because they are actually the same template. And that's it. And this change is actually live on your ads too. So it's instantaneous. So it's yeah, that's the basics. But let's jump back in and do a little bit more. One thing that you might notice here is that the logo I uploaded isn't showing here. It's showing the Delford logo. And similarly, the product data isn't like the actual product data from my feed isn't showing up here either. It's showing this office chair, which is the placeholder data that the theme or the template uses. So this is just kind of to set things up to see what a logo might look like, to see what a product image might look like. But rest assured, when you replace like the CTA text or the logo or you have product data, it's all going to be replaced. So don't worry about that. Okay, so let's make a couple more changes here. So I think the first thing that I want to do is actually change out this background. I said the company that I'm working here with is Marker, and it sells art supplies, and I think this is just a little bit, I want something a little bit more interesting for my brand. So I've selected this image, and I can hit this change button right here, and it's going to give me a dialog to add a new picture. So I'm dragging in from my computer now. I'm dragging in this photo to use as a background. There we go. So I found this cool abstract blue watercolor picture, and I thought that it would look really nice for the Marker brand. So that's what I've added. You can move all of these things around. So I'm just gonna change the size a little bit and the position to be something like that. Okay, I'm liking how that's looking. So that's switching out one of the images. The other thing I think I'd like to do is remove the price. I decided for my look and feel, I don't actually want to show the price. So to delete a widget that's part of your template, you just select it and then press this red trash can icon up here. Like so. Okay, now it's gone. And hopefully this is, you can see this on your screen too. It's a pretty light yellow line, but when you hover over different widgets, you get this kind of like boundary box here with this dash yellow line. So I can see here, and of course when you click on it, this is the box that text is going to fill into. So I'm just going to make this box a little bit taller so that it kind of fills this vertical space down here below the product image. So something like that. For text, you have a number of options that you can choose from. You can change the font family, the size. The line height is the space between lines vertically. You can make it bold, italic. These options here are very useful. They're the alignment options. So this is horizontal alignment. So right now it's centered. Kind of hard to see with this example, but you can see it kind of shifting from left to right there. This is the vertical alignment. You can change the color. I think I will also change the color to black. And you can add a background color as well for any widget actually. Yeah, so that's kind of the general idea. All of the different text widgets are going to have these sorts of options. If you want to add widgets, you can go to the toolbox here and drag them in. So these ones are like basic text and image that won't be, they're not related to product data. And then these ones mostly are related to product data, except for promotional text and CTA button, CTA image button. Those are editable in the theme view, but they don't come from product data. Everything else comes from product data, and this is going to vary depending on the business type or vertical that you set for your advertiser. So these are the data placeholders that you will see for retail. But again, for auto, say, you're going to see some different options, you know, related to make and model and year and mileage and whatnot. All right, cool. Oh yes, two more things. One for text, this guy up here, max chars. So this is the amount of characters that are allowed in a text field before the system truncates the text. So at 75 characters, the system is going to add an ellipses at the end of the text, ... indicating that the text is long and there wasn't space for it. So this is just something to be aware of, kind of maybe need to play around with it a little bit. In this case, this theme has been tested internally by the Adacado team. So 75 characters was working when it was this high. So I know it's going to be working here. If I make it bigger, I could probably increase this maybe to 85 or something like that. And it'll be fine. But if you're making your font size bigger, for example, or you're making the text box smaller, like that, 75 characters aren't going to fit in there. So you're going to have to adjust this number. But in this case, I think that's plenty, and I know it's going to fit, so I'm going to keep it as is. The other thing was just the background color and border text and width. So you can make these adjustments for the template itself. We're using a background image here, so the background color is kind of irrelevant. The border color is set to this medium gray here, and I'm going to leave it as is. Of course, you can change the width. On the border color, it is recommended, it's best practice to make this not white and not black, so that ads do not blend into the background of the web pages. It is a best practices for display ads to have them show up as distinct from the background so that people aren't misled into thinking that the ad is actually part of the website. So just a note on that there. With that, let's save and go back to the theme view. Back to the storyboard view, yes. All right. Here we are. It's just loading up for the first time now. So you can see again, the changes being applied to all of these templates in this one storyboard. Go back to themes. You can see it here. Again, sorry, having some internet issues. Hopefully my voice is sounding good to you. So I've done this 300 by 600. So now I would just need to go ahead and do the other 3 sizes in my campaign. And for changes like this, when I did it by myself, I could do all of these in about 10-15 minutes. So it's pretty quick if everything is kind of roughly in the right spot to begin with. And it's a great way to make a theme look more like your brand, to make it more custom for you. So that's that. Just got a couple minutes left. So I am going to jump back to the slides now. All right, that's the demo. Oh, yes. So I did just want to mention, just so you know, that there are 2 ways to edit templates. So I showed you the way, the easiest way, which is editing them through the storyboard of your campaign theme. The only issue that happens with this method is if you want to reuse those templates in other campaigns or themes, you won't be able to do it. So the edits are localized to that specific theme. So there is another approach. Here, I'll jump back real quick. Just called through the My Templates page. So you can get to that through the account menu here, My Templates. So that's the other approach. I'm not going to go into it, but it is something to look into if you want to reuse your templates in another theme. So just an overview, what we talked about today, the theme structure, why you would want to edit a template or a theme, how to actually do it, and briefly about the 2 methods that you can do, that you can use to edit your theme. And here's a little comparison of what the Delford theme would have looked like with my logo and my products without the modifications, and then with the modifications. A couple resources for you. If you're needing help, first of all, don't hesitate to reach out to us, but there is a lot of documentation on the website as well. Check that out. There's other webinars that you can register for, and there's also links on the support page to past webinars. These are a couple websites that I use frequently to find images that are free for commercial use. So like the background image that I use, the blue abstract watercolor, is from Pexels, I think. But great resources, Pexels, Unsplash, and Pixabay. So I'm just gonna open up my GoToMeeting little interface here and see if there are any questions. Not seeing anything right now. Okay, gonna say that we don't have any questions. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope that was useful. Hope you learned something. And that's it. Maybe we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.